At 43, I'm a husband to a 40-year-old woman, and together we've navigated 16 years of marriage and raised 2 kids. Early on, our relationship hit bumps, but we came out tougher. Despite tying the knot young, our faith in love and strength carried us through. Still, I wonder if it was all too idealistic. For the past 3 years, my wife has led a top-tier advertising firm, while I've dedicated 7 years to engineering. Our professions have ensured a cozy life for our family. Despite our busy schedules, we've remained tightly knit, making unforgettable memories with our children a top priority. Frankly, I always considered myself a committed spouse and dad. Despite occasional hiccups with my wife, I consistently went above and beyond for her. Hence, uncovering her enduring affair struck me like a sledgehammer. Let me rewind a bit. I observed my wife gradually pulling away, especially during the past couple of challenging years. It seemed like nothing I did could satisfy her. She incessantly compared me to her boss, always highlighting his superior handling of situations. Couldn't grasp her thoughts. Her boss could. Forgot to plan romantic outings. Her boss never skipped a beat with his spouse. I questioned my maturity. Whenever I inquired about revitalizing our love life, her response remained unchanged. You should already know. Thus, I plunged into research, purchasing books in hopes of finding a solution as I felt utterly clueless. Yet, every endeavor I undertook was met with tepid acknowledgement or outright disappointment. This conduct was utterly out of character for her, sparking an urgent need within me to rectify whatever was causing her discontent. Little did I know, I wasn't the only one solving problems in our relationship. We had formed a tight bond with her boss and his spouse. Their kids were also close to us. We often hung out together, BBQs, family trips, park visits, and arcade game days. Our homes were like second homes to each other, deepening our connection. I found comfort in confiding my marriage worries with her boss, who gave me invaluable advice. I held him in high esteem. Now, on to the bombshell. My wife's constant ultimatums to change myself or risk our marriage's end had left me emotionally drained. Her sudden shift in behavior caught me off guard, thinking our relationship was rock solid. One night, she was deeply engaged in a cheerful text conversation. Intrigued, I peeked at her phone, only to be met with her swift withdrawal and anger. She demanded to know why I was snooping, storming off to the bathroom without explanation. I sensed something was wrong that day, deep down. Though I couldn't prove it, I made the error of confronting her the following day. She exploded in anger and vehemently denied any wrongdoing. I lacked access to her phone, but the craving for truth consumed me. When I demanded to see it, she flatly refused. It wasn't until reluctantly that night she surrendered it. The absence of messages to certain individuals raised suspicion as most were deleted. Returning her phone, we avoided the topic until a month later when, with a friend's aid, I unearthed some erased texts. Shockingly, she possessed another phone, scarcely using the one she handed me. Through those messages, the damning evidence emerged. She engaged in an affair with her boss, no less. Aware she would refute any immediate confrontation, I bided my time. It tore me apart, especially with thoughts of our children. The situation was dire. Tears flowered freely in front of my confidant. Despite the anguish, I clung to hope for our marriage. Thus, 3 days later, I acquired a book entitled How to Help Your Spouse Heal from an Affair. Sure, you might find my choice surprising. I opened the book, hoping it would make my wife see things differently. I just wanted to revive our love and save our marriage. I planned to talk things out with her on Saturday. However, she said there was an urgent work issue and told me not to wait up. I tried to confirm by calling her workplace, but it was closed. I called her, but got no answer. She came home at 2 a.m. on Sunday, went straight to the shower, then to bed. When I asked why she was so late, she avoided the question, saying she had already warned me not to wait. I was frustrated. I kept the book I bought from her. I was hurting, and she didn't seem to care. So I contacted her boss's wife, desperate for answers. I wanted stability, and I still believe in my decision. Surprisingly, she knew nothing about the situation, just like me. She was determined to confront her spouse, but I warned her about his likely deceitfulness, a trait my own wife had exhibited. We met at her place to discuss the situation, and I presented the meager evidence we had. Wanting more proof, we decided to gather evidence separately and compare notes. I began to investigate my wife further, and she did the same with her husband. Finding undeniable evidence was easy for her. Her husband's arrogance had left incriminating text messages on his phone, confirming our earlier findings and revealing the extent of the affair. 2 years. The boss's wife and I were furious. We both craved revenge. Their rendezvous occurred in various places: her home, mine, luxury hotels, and business trips, making for nauseating reading. Despite exchanging photos, we chose to ignore them, unwilling to be haunted by such images. Revenge was on our minds, but not by indulging in an affair ourselves. We concluded that if they wanted each other, they were welcome to each other. We both filed for divorce almost simultaneously, firm in our decision. Our partners remained oblivious as we executed our plan with precision. With the boss's wife on our side, we had insider knowledge of their whereabouts. Armed with this information, accompanied by the sheriff, I made my way to their weekend retreat. As I waited in the lobby, the sheriff ensured all was set, and then summoned my spouse from her room. She emerged, draped in a bathrobe, visibly shaken, questioning my unexpected presence. Despite the distance from home, the hotel wasn't too far. The sheriff, confirming her identity, served the papers, leaving her bewildered. Watching the disbelief on her face was immensely satisfying. Despite the situation, I decided not to dwell on it. Instead, I chose to walk away, content that the task was done. Yet, she refused to let go of my arm, pulling me back and demanding an explanation. I simply stated, "You had an affair, and I'm ending our marriage. That's all." She erupted into screams, gripping my arm tightly. The sheriff had to intervene, instructing her to release me immediately. After she complied, she began crying, insisting she could explain that it was her fault. Feeling my anger rise, I swiftly departed for home. When my wife informed her boss, he panicked. Apparently, he hurried home only to be served with divorce papers. We didn't give them a chance to prepare. We blindsided them, just as they did us. My divorce will be finalized in a couple of months, while hers might take a bit longer. Both my wife and her boss are putting up a fight against us in the divorce proceedings. Both of them are reluctant to split. They claim they never meant to abandon their spouses. They insist it was purely physical, nothing more. Some people have had worse affairs and managed to salvage their marriages. They made a mistake and want a chance to fix it. I've asked my wife about her thoughts on the outcome. She said she was just going with the flow, acting out of character. She insists she's changed. I bluntly told her she's being foolish. People around me are labeling me as cruel for not giving her another chance. My kids are aware of the situation at a level appropriate for their age, and they support me fully, though they hope we can stay together. My determination is weakening. Living under the same roof and seeing my wife go to therapy and read the book I provided makes it harder to stick to my position. She claims she's remorseful and willing to do anything. But all I can think is that she's only sorry she got caught. And that's not enough for me. She labeled me as someone who can't see beyond negativity, painting me as bitter and resentful. Though she apologized afterward, I sense the truth in her words. Despite that, I maintain a friendship with the boss's wife, much to my wife's disdain. She fears I'll seek revenge or blame the boss's wife for our troubles. My wife insists I cut ties with her, just as she did with her own boss. But I refuse. Why should I bend to her wishes now when she didn't respect mine before? It's clear to me, our respect for each other has dwindled. Despite my stance, she persists, attempting to justify her affair. But I see through her excuses and refuse to engage. She's pushing me to go to therapy together. But after seeing therapists blame the victim in many stories, I'm dead set against it. Then she wants us to read books about infidelity. What's the point if divorce is looming? And now, she's craving intimacy. I flat out told her she can't use that to manipulate me. She insists it's not manipulation, just her way of showing love. I retorted, "Love me now, you mean?" Everyone, even my mum, is getting on my case, saying people make mistakes, and my wife's trying to make amends to show she truly loves me. But I won't be anyone's fallback plan, I told them. I feel guilty for how I'm treating her. There's still love buried beneath the hate, but am I crossing a line? She's making an effort, but I'm just indifferent. Should I rethink the divorce? People warn I might be rushing into things and regret it later. Could they be right? Firstly, my wife and I are currently in a somewhat stable situation. However, it's not due to reconciliation. No, I'm still in the process of divorcing her. Despite this, my wife is persistently pleading for another chance and is pulling out all the stops to obtain it. Regrettably, I cannot grant her that opportunity, as her affair lasted far too long for me to forgive and forget. If it had been a brief fling, perhaps I could have considered a different outcome. Yet, enduring 2 years of betrayal feels like a profound betrayal. I've attended a couple of therapy sessions with her, not because I'm heartless, but because I still harbor feelings for her. During one session, I had a breakthrough where I realized my wife genuinely feels remorse for her actions. Admittedly, she hasn't handled the aftermath of her affair flawlessly, but she's been putting in a significant amount of effort. However, the second session was a chaotic ordeal. My wife was furious with me for maintaining contact with the boss's wife, let's call her Robin, and expressed fear of a potential retaliation affair. It was the pinnacle of my frustration throughout this ordeal, and our subsequent argument escalated because I refused to comply with her demand for no contact with Robin. The situation was resolved when I assured her there'd be no vengeful flings. Despite not being obligated to her anymore, she remains my spouse until the divorce, and I'm committed to honoring that. I've been attending additional therapy sessions with her to witness her progress firsthand. Yes, the therapist specializes in both individual and marital counseling. No, my motive for these sessions isn't secretly aiming to salvage our marriage. I simply want to witness my wife's growth myself, even if it means actively participating. Post-divorce, I'll gracefully step aside. Meanwhile, Robin continues to move on from her husband, whom we'll dub S-Head, despite his resistance to the divorce. She's as determined as I am, and we find solace in each other during tough times. I assure you, there's no hint of an affair between us. We're just supportive friends. Robin epitomizes strength and independence, refusing to tolerate any nonsense. As for my kids, they're doing well. They understand that divorcing doesn't diminish our love for them in any way. They're not keen on splitting up, but they grasp why it's needed, especially for our kids. My wife's out of the ad biz now. She's found another gig. Quit soon after I hit her with the papers. She's kept her distance from S-Head, that's for sure. She claims she turned to online forums for marriage advice, trying to salvage what we had. Been doing some soul-searching myself. Used to wonder why folks stuck around after infidelity, but watching my wife hustle to better herself. I get it now. She's not evil, just human, flawed, made some bad calls. But she's working on it. Offered me the world to give us another shot. Not sure if I can do it. Oddly, as the divorce looms closer, I feel calmer. We talked long about her wanting a shot post-divorce, even offered a post-nup. I'm not entirely against it, but it's a steep climb for me to even entertain the idea. She's eager, but I'm skeptical of any benefits. Honestly, part of me craves the divorce for a fleeting sense of justice. It's the only justice I can grasp without stooping to infidelity. Reconciliation with my mum followed my disclosure of my wife's affair. Now she's livid with my wife after hearing the details. As many of you are aware, my wife is terrified of a retaliatory affair. Understandably, since I maintained contact with the woman she betrayed. My wife's insecurity pales compared to Robin's confidence. Robin, younger and successful, triggers my wife's fear of me seeking revenge. Her audacity to preach against retaliation astonishes me. While she's not wrong, and I have no intention to act on it, her hypocrisy irks me. Whenever I go to see Robin, like yesterday, she becomes incredibly sad or clingy. It's like she's desperate to ensure I won't betray her. Despite her efforts, I push her away, worsening the situation. It's astonishing how selfish cheaters can be, only concerned with their own pain, leaving the betrayed to pick up the pieces. Also, our kids still spend time together. I never visit Robin without them. Yet, my wife still suspects me of being capable of the same heartlessness she showed, imagining I'd seize any chance to pursue another woman. It's absurd. Meanwhile, S-Head remains in their vacation home, pleading for Robin's forgiveness. I must admit, seeing him suffer brings me a deep sense of satisfaction. He hasn't dared to threaten me, knowing the leverage I hold over him, including my continued communication with his wife. He has the freedom to see his children whenever he pleases, yet he deliberately avoids encountering me, ensuring my absence before his visits. Honestly, I sympathize with him. Presently, my wife is incredibly remorseful. She has been lavishing me with affection, but I've been dismissing it. I'm in a dark place. Today, we have a therapy session scheduled, and I'm eager to release the pent-up pain and anguish caused by her actions. The rage within me is reaching its boiling point. So, that was the initial outpouring. Let's move on to the next rant that happened sometime later. I felt like I wasted years on a woman who turned out to be worthless, even though she gave me great kids and unforgettable memories. Those I'll always hold dear as a man. But now, I realize I deserve more than her, and I'm determined to find it. It's finally sunk in that I'm worthy of better treatment. She betrayed me, belittled me, and made me feel inadequate whenever another man caught her eye. She poured her energy into someone else. It's hard to believe it's taken me this long to realize I'm done with her. Now, suddenly, she's doing everything to keep me. Now she's focusing on us. Now she wants my happiness when she never cared before. Now she's eager to explore new things in bed with me. Our intimacy was never mind-blowing, but I was content. Now I see what I've been missing. Just glimpsing her texts with S-Head reveals only a fraction of their explicit adventures. She's suddenly showering me with affection, though she used to be quite indifferent. The newfound closeness speaks volumes. She respects my space now and genuinely supports my endeavors, whereas previously it was all about her demands for attention and material provision. She's learned to honor my boundaries and even surpasses them. She now regards me as the man I always wanted her to see me as, but it took knocking her off her pedestal for that realization. Though she appears to be the epitome of perfection now, it feels transient. She's become remarkably transparent, brutally honest, even if it means discomfort for both of us. I've never witnessed such persistent remorse in anyone before. She deeply regrets this affair ever happening. Her self-reproach is palpable, evident in every kick she delivers to herself daily. The despair etched on her face when my receptivity wanes is undeniable. She wears her misery openly, futile attempts at concealment only intensifying its visibility. At times, it fosters self-loathing within me, yet I deem it essential. Why do I struggle to perceive this as a positive? Why can't I evaluate her actions objectively? Don't they signal remorse? Countless individuals engage in long-term affairs and emerge even stronger, don't they? Why do I allow emotions, not reasoned assessment, to guide my choices? Another may reap the benefits of her enhanced self, while I embark on yet another uncertain relationship. Why not strive for something better when every sign points towards a brighter future? That's the question I've been pondering, and I have a clear answer. I refuse to tolerate disrespect. Perhaps I was initially open to compromise, but I swiftly snapped out of it. This is my response to those who've reached out to me, curious about my situation. I plan to cherish this Christmas with my loved ones and then part ways with my spouse. I've resolved to no longer entertain the illusions I concocted to justify my wife's hold over me, and I'm fully letting go of any attachment to her. There will be no reconciliation or second chances. Our chapter is closed for good. I want to make it clear that my wife isn't a villain. That's the truth. I genuinely wish her happiness, but I've come to accept it won't be with me, as she has made abundantly clear. Today, I reached out to Robin and invited her to dinner after the holidays, as a gesture of gratitude for her unwavering support when I was at my lowest. She gladly accepted. I realize these situations are rare, but we truly leaned on each other throughout this ordeal, and I owe her a debt of gratitude. I need to clarify, Robin and I didn't plan any of this together. My emotions have been all over the place, and the idea of being with someone else hasn't crossed my mind. Our dinner was simply dinner, unless we both feel differently. However, as the divorce draws near, I'm starting to realize I have choices, and one of them has been right in front of me all along. What about Sahid? Honestly, I couldn't care less about him. I doubt I'll ever tie the knot again, and I'll be honest about that with anyone. Even though my divorce hasn't been too tough, I'm still taking a big financial hit. The whole idea of marriage feels like a joke to me now. I'm sorry if I seem cynical, but I'm still feeling disillusioned. I've put so much of myself into this relationship only to see how little I've gotten back. It's evident how my mindset has shifted from doubt to deep frustration, and now I'm considering moving on from my marriage and maybe giving someone else a shot. My previous partner and I have officially called it quits. It's been almost 3 weeks now. In the days following, I felt a deep sorrow, like losing someone dear. Realizing the immense failure of my marriage hit me hard. It was probably the toughest I've cried since finding out about the affair. I also felt intense anger, hitting one of my lowest points. We've made arrangements for my ex, especially for our kids. She's moved out, and I'm in the process of buying her share of our home. Now she's in an apartment, which feels like a big step down for her. Despite that, she's still in therapy and deeply immersed in learning about infidelity, for reasons I don't fully understand. We've had many talks before and after the divorce, though with minimal physical contact. While I know I shouldn't be too involved with her now, she's still the mother of my children, and I'm committed to co-parenting well. She feels the same way. She wants us to reconcile, but I'm not ready to take that leap again. I'm just not in the mood to fulfill her desire. Last weekend, I had dinner with Robin just for the joy of each other's company and conversation. We chatted about everything imaginable. Things started to get a bit flirtatious between us, and I must say, I hesitated about embracing the swiftly changing atmosphere. But eventually, the evening evolved into an incredibly passionate encounter. It was perhaps the most thrilling experience I've ever had. Robin is incredibly generous, surpassing my ex by far. It wasn't my intention for things to escalate that far, but both Robin and I were willing participants. I even learned a few new tricks in the bedroom, lol. This was the first time someone was so keen to please me, instead of the usual way around. Honestly, I don't foresee us progressing our relationship. It seems like it was just a mix of hormones and wine influencing us that evening. While she's keen to escalate things, I'm still on the fence. I reckon both of us need to sort through our emotions first. Despite the discomfort some may feel, sleeping with Robin significantly lifted my self-esteem battles. Feeling desired and alive, I finally understood what I had been lacking. From now on, I won't settle for an ordinary bed. What's even more fulfilling is knowing I upheld my integrity and moral principles. Overall, I'm proud of how I navigated this challenge. While not perfect, I gave it my best. Despite financial setbacks, I count myself lucky compared to other betrayed partners. Being open to guidance and advice rather than stumbling blindly made all the difference. I'm deeply grateful to those who supported and advised me. You've saved me from further erosion of my self-esteem. Key takeaway: value yourself. Demand respect from everyone, even your closest companions. Everyone deserves to be in a happy, fulfilling relationship. Never settle for less than you deserve from your partner. A strong and fulfilling, intimate connection is crucial in any committed relationship. If your partner isn't fully committed to you and has been involved with someone else or betrayed your trust, don't tolerate it. I'm not advocating for mistreatment. Simply communicate your discontent. If your partner isn't willing to address the issues, don't stay in a stagnant relationship unless both of you agree. It's acceptable to walk away from it. Communication is vital. I cannot stress this enough. If you've experienced betrayal, only you can truly heal yourself. It took me a while to realize this. Take care, everyone. Don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to stay updated whenever I drop a new video. Plus, check out these other videos from my channel that you might dig. With that said, catch you in the next one.